Serum 17 once again. This is my Dark Souls Soul Level 1 restricted playthrough, and we're going to be going to the Bed of Chaos to the Oolacile Sanctuary. And this is another 20 odd minute video of just Dark Souls goodness. So this is one of the worst parts of the game, in my opinion. Mainly because it just doesn't feel finished. It feels like there's a bunch of areas that you should have been able to do things at. It also feels like there could have been so much more creativity and so many, different design techniques that would have been displayed in this area, but for whatever reason just weren't. And the only thing I could think of is, budgetary reasons, cutbacks. This area had to take the most, suffering when it came to its design. Because when you think about it, there's no real new enemies introduced in this area except for two, and those two enemies are just copy-pasted everywhere. It's so strange. Like, this place could have had so much. There could have been, limitless potential for it. Because when you think of Demon Souls, which is fresh in my mind at the moment because I'm doing a playthrough on it, every level on Demon Souls introduces new enemies and introduces them all placed in very meticulous positionings. It's all deliberate, it's all well thought out. There isn't a single level on that game that you can honestly say feels rushed compared to the others. And sure, there should be the extra Archstone, which a lot of people theorise is the land of the giants. Some people think it's the land of Lordran. Everyone's got their own theories on that kind of stuff, a la Dark Souls lore. But this place just, it should have been so much more than it is. This place it's a cool idea, the Izalith legends behind it, the witches and everything. There's lava everywhere, there's these crazy temples, there's these crazy dinosaur torsos. It had the potential to be so much more, and every time I come through it, I just think to myself, I wish it was better. Because as soon as we get up to the Citadel area that we're coming to now, it's just those fat, stupid, electric, fire-breathing statue guys that look like one of the gargoyles from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Disney film. Just really wasted. And even the witch herself, the NPC, one of the Izalith Chaos sister things, who attacks you with pyromancies. Just imagine if every enemy in this area was an Izalith witch. And I know that the lore probably wouldn't facilitate that because there's the whole fucking war and everything. But still, just suspend belief for a moment away from everyone's theories and speculations. Like, let's think gameplay at this moment. What would you rather fight here? Would you rather fight a bunch of badass witches in robes throwing pyromancy at you, or these fat, stupid, like fucking wannabe James Belushi statues? It's just, this place frustrates me. It really does. The cool thing is, you literally don't have to do a single thing here. There's a bit of loot to find, there's a couple of secrets, there's some of the Siegmeyer quests if you're doing that, but for all intents and purposes, you can blast through this area and completely forget that you've been here. I always kill this thing because he's got potential to drop either a red chunk or a red slab, but getting a red slab off those is, you've probably got more chance of getting a blowjob. It's extremely rare. Up here is where Kirk invades if you're in human form, it's also where she is. So, make sure you take her out in the Izalith robes. I just can't imagine. Can you imagine being chased by 3 or 4 of these ladies, all willing to kick your ass with pyros? It would be hilarious. I was in a funny mood when I recorded this, apparently. Don't know why I did that. But on this corner down here, there's going to be another one of the Chaos Eaters, I think they're called. This enemy is pretty much pointless. It does have a sludge that will damage your durability, but it bleeds. God, the frame rate is fucking horrible in this place. The PS3 handles the frame rate much better in certain areas, but it's still bad. The PC is easily the best system when it comes for frame rate, and the only people who disagree with that are the people that don't have a good machine to run it or have issues with running that game. Because I was once in a stream by a guy called D Invader, and I don't often disagree and openly, not so much argue, but kind of debate my point in streams. But D was pretty much saying that the PC version plays like shit, and it's just not true. And his argument was his machine could run Mass Effect 2 on its highest graphics, and yet this game still had frame drops and it was rubbish and all this, and it played really, really poorly. Well, I can't speak to that or what that is, except for perhaps From Software's lack of experience in PC games. But what I can speak for is I bought a machine to play this game on PC, and I played it on max settings, and the only place I got any frame dropping was in the Chasm of the Abyss because of the humanity and the fact that it has to render everything. It was glorious, and you know, with the DS fix, sorry, it made the resolution nicer, it got rid of the titles, it did a lot of great things for the game, and the PC versions is glorious. It's just it doesn't have the traffic that the consoles do. So that's one of the main reasons I didn't play it. And another thing I found on PC was input. The input was different to consoles because there's less delay. I don't know why. It's very strange, and it's hard to explain to somebody who's only played one or the other. But when you press roll on the console, there is milliseconds of delay. There's quite a lot of milliseconds of delay. So it's like you press it and then they roll. On the PC, you press it and it rolls immediately. And that was one of the things that put me off the most, because I found that my timing was console, so when I came to play PC and I was doing the rolls to get through attacks, I was getting hit a lot, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and it was just literally the difference between the delay. And if you listen carefully here, guys, you're going to notice that some of the audio is out of sync on this sequence, and the reason that I haven't gone in and corrected it is because this is really, really edited, this video, so it would take quite a long time, and just for the sake of like the Bed of Chaos boss fight, which the discrepancy is definitely there, you can hear it now, but I've lowered the volume just a little bit to make it more bearable for the people that get really put off by it, and for the most, my voice is gonna be over this, so you're not gonna be able to hear it as much. And it's really strange, this delay problem, because I've started recording from the PS3, and so far, on the Demon Souls, I haven't had any out-of-sync audio, but when I recorded God of War, it was all out of sync, so it's not console-specific, it's just my PVR being a giant sack of shit. And I'm going to replace it. It's just that simple. It's just frustrating. I hate having to pay for something that still works when it should still be fucking working, and my PVR gets treated like royalty. It sits on its little shelf, it's well-fed, and still it betrays me. I need to get Joe Pesci in here from Goodfellas to stab the fuck out of it with a pen. Maybe then it'll get some respect. But it's going to be replaced, and hopefully I'll never have to mention the audio syncing bullshit ever again until it resurfaces. So I'm going now through the dark root garden. I've got my trusty hammer on because I believe it kills these guys pretty quickly. Everything kills these guys pretty quickly though at this point, because we do have some strong weapons. And if we're going to Oolacile, we're probably going to be going to kill the Hydra. And if so, this is one of the more impressive parts of this playthrough, because killing the Hydra is so much bullshit without taking any damage. It really is. And it's all because of the face attack. The face attack has wicked range. There's no way of predicting it. It never hits the same place twice, when you're moving at least. And it's very, very difficult to get. But I managed to come up with a strategy that enabled it to work, and a lot of it is luck. I'm not even going to lie. I got hit so many times by this Hydra, it's not even funny. But I found that when he's going to bury his face, if you sprinted, as fast as you can in a direction, it normally wouldn't have the tracking potential to clip you. And obviously the more heads you kill, the easier it becomes. Because the Hydra sometimes is its own worst enemy. The thing has shit aim at the best of times. It just has the look of the fact there's lots of them. So it hits you almost through attrition than actual skill. Is there a knight down here? There is a knight down here. Do you see that run there? That is the run that killed me on the first video of Demon Souls. That is a fall attack. See you later, brother. And I'm going to use this bonfire because it's the fastest way to get back to the Hydra, I found. And I don't use this bonfire that much. I don't use the Valley of the Drakes that much because I'm not the biggest fan of it. Like, I made a a video to companion with my guide to show people a quick way of getting the Black Knight halberd, and I gave them a path that I thought was quite interesting, quite easy to do, and a lot of people complained on that video why I wasn't using the Drake shortcut, and my initial response was the Drake shortcut is usually reserved for people who are comfortable with playing the game, and this guide is intended for people who are struggling, so they're not necessarily going to be all that comfortable with it. And nobody seemed to understand this because the internet's filled with fucking idiots. So I ended up repeating myself ad nauseum to these morons who kept saying, why don't you go Valley of the Drakes? Valley of the Drakes is much more intimidating than the Undead Burg. And if you think that's not true, then you're a fucking idiot. Ask anybody who played this game. If they have logical sense in their brain, they will tell you that the Undead Burg is less intimidating than giant blue lightning-firing dragons. It's just how it works. Sure, if you've played this game for quite a long time, the Drakes probably don't intimidate you anymore, but you're different. You're someone who's invested time in the game, and that's the difference. And these people just kept on dropping shit on that video, saying, you should have gone this way, would have been faster, should have done this, should have done that. And it wasn't about the speed, guys. It wasn't about it being fast. It was just to show people you could do this in 10 minutes, so that they didn't have to get all up in arms about doing this random drop. And in the end, I just ended up quoting the fact that the guy who has the fastest speedrun on Dark Souls does not use the Drake shortcut. So that was just a big fuck you to all those elitist assholes. But this is the Hydra, anyway. And this guy is really tricky. So I'm luring, at this moment in time, the face attack so that I can try and evade it. And clipping heads while I do. And it's just one of those things, as soon as, see how I'm running, just sprint, keep on sprinting. He did the mouth blast just then. I'm just going to try and get as far away from him as I can. And my analog is really fighting me there. You notice how I started walking? Because this was recorded on my old pad where it definitely has analog strain and it doesn't help me at all. Be really careful here though, because anyone who's fought the Hydra like this knows that there is a place where the geometry just doesn't exist anymore, and if you walk across that threshold you will die instantly, and I am dancing on the edge of it here. I'm very close to it. Always aware though, folks, that's the difference. I know this game very well at this point, so I know when I'm in danger, I know when I'm not in danger, and this is going really well. We've only got 3 heads left. He's going to die on the next head cut. That kind of sucks right there. Just Dark Souls being weird again. And I think that's it. So there you go. And I do my taunt to show that that guy gave me trouble, because he's not easy. And there is a no damage restricted run kill of the Hydra, which is one of the more impressive kills. And a lot of people might think, oh well, that looked easy, that's easy, the Hydra's easy, and he can be if he's, you know, being a dumb fuck, but every so often you just get really unlucky and those faces will just come down and they'll hit you regardless. It's bullshit, but it happens. So this is the gold golem, who has the lovely lady in him, which is a really strange term to say, like a transgender sex fest. But here's Dusk, anyhow. We need to talk to Dusk and rescue her before the crystal golem turns up in the Duke's archives, which is probably where we're going to be going next. I'm going to Homeward Bones so that I don't have to walk all the way back, and then we're going to be warping, I believe, to Anor Londo. And from here we're going to be taking on the 2 boars and getting the pendant. So the motivation for this moment, because I don't actually end up finishing all of the DLC in this playthrough. I end up killing the Guardian and Artorias, but I don't bother with Manus. And I don't know why. I think it was one of those things where I was thinking of some stuff to do before I went for the 4 kings, and I just went for the 4 kings instead of holding it off. Because on this run through, I wasn't afraid of the kings, I was afraid of Anor Londo, New Londo, sorry. New Londo Ruins was really intimidating, and it's just because I hate the ghosts. I find the ghosts to be annoying, and getting to the dude, you know, to Ingrid, who has the key to the seal, without a bow, it's just not fun. And it took me a while to figure out the best way to do it, and in the end I end up using firebombs. I use myself as bait. I use some pretty weird routes around the ruins themselves. There's a quick transition. And I end up getting it, and it was hard. Anyone who's doing this challenge for themselves, when you get there, you're going to know exactly what I mean. It's one of those moments where it feels shitty, because you can take damage so easily, so cheaply, and then you have to run all the way from either the Drake bonfire or the bonfire in Firelink. I always go Firelink because it's just the way I'm comfortable with. Not fun. Not fun at all. But it is doable, and I'm going to prove that. So here's the second boar. The boars themselves, if you know the patterns, they're not too bad, but every so often he'll clip you because he does the running attack, and he does it for much longer than you anticipate, from much closer than he possibly should, and it can really punish you. This place as well, Dukes is not easy. The enemies in Dukes, they're little crystal bastards. They're aggressive, they come in groups, they've got good tracking, they've got a diverse moveset, and they can be buffed. So they're a pain in the arse. But we're not going to be staying here for much longer. We're just going to grab the pendant. And I could have just used this footage twice to show my path through this first area of Dukes, but instead I just did it the old-fashioned way and recorded it all. I could have probably skipped it because you've already seen me do this. So my technique for this room is kill the first guy, lure the second guys, and then hit them through the wall, because this hammer's got extremely long range. And what will happen is the guy's going to keep throwing arrows at us, firing arrows should I say. When you push up here, you're going to spawn him over there, he's going to come for you. They usually jump. When they get close, they do the jump attack. That's if they're mobile. If they're not mobile, he'll try and do the thrust. So you just need to watch the patterns, learn the patterns, and you should be okay. So here is the boar guy, backed up by the channeler and a couple of guys in the room who are all going to come down here and aggro. So if you come down to the side of the stairs, you can actually smack them through the banister, which is really useful. You don't have to do the jump attack. I'm doing the jump attack because it's got the most range. You can do the standard attack if you just want to get them killed. But now that's done, he's the guy that's new. Anybody who's played Dark Souls enough, when they saw this guy here, it was one of those epiphany moments of Jesus Christ, something's different, because he's never normally there. And now we've got the broken pendant, we can get the hell out of dodge, and we can make our way. I don't even know why I did that retrieval. Did I have many souls? I don't think so. Yeah, I died a couple times trying to get this pendant, just because these... I say died. I got hit, and that's effectively a death, so I usually just homeward bone, or quit, or just let them kill me. But now the pendant is ours, we can start moving forward. We can go all the way back to the garden, where we were, when we fought the Hydra, and we can make our way into Oolacile. And I really like the DLC. I wish there was more. I wish it had achievements. You know, I do a lot of wishing in these videos, but it's valid, man. The DLC was good. It was enough content. I enjoy doing it. I still enjoy playing it. Like, for me, they could have pumped out as many new places like that or new time periods as Halo pumps out map packs or Call of Duty pumps out fucking zombie maps and stuff, because it's so good. And the difference is, you know, maps and multiplayer stuff takes about 40 seconds to make, and then they make it back millions. Doing what Dark Souls did, where it actually made a full piece of content, is much tougher. It takes much more time, much more resource, and From Software are busy now doing other projects. You know, they're making Dark Souls 2, they're probably making something else. I want to know what Miyazaki's doing, aside from being like an advisor for Dark Souls 2. I wonder if he and his team are working on something new for From, or a different Souls spin-off or something like that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, we're just going to be backtracking all the way down to the basin so we can go through the hole that Manus drags us through. But it is strange that the DLC didn't have achievements, because Microsoft does have rules that when you pay for a DLC and it's over a certain length, that it has to have achievements. That's one of the mandatory things. And From Software just kind of didn't give a fuck and just did it, which is sad. I thought of what the list could be and what they could have made it out to, you know, what you needed to do, and they could have made it so eclectic and so good. Like, getting all the weapons on the DLC is not easy to do because some of them are really rare drops, so that would have taken some time. It also takes numerous uses of boss souls, so you'd have to kill Artorias a few times. Like, they could have gone really eclectic with it. And just an excuse to do stuff in Dark Souls, because you don't need an excuse to do stuff in Dark Souls, but when you have those achievements or those trophies as an incentive, they sure as hell take the sting out of wasting time. Which, you know, some people play a game once and then they pass it on. They move on to something else. Some people will play the same game for the rest of their life, like those StarCraft guys. Which is fine, I guess. You're getting your money's worth at that point if you're playing a game that's over 15 years old, or however old it is at this point. But to me, I don't know, there's something nice about being able to aim for things. And Dark Souls is a game where I've effectively done everything in it. The only things left now are self-imposed challenges and really specific things which are fun, but not necessarily intended by the developers, which half the time makes them more interesting. But Sanctuary Guardian, I've already put a whole bunch of videos up on him. You know, I was probably some of the first videos on YouTube fighting this boss, because when I got the PC version, you know, I covered him mercilessly, and he's not too bad, regardless of level. When you first fight him, he seems really aggressive and really cheap, and it seems like a brutal fight, but once you've beat him a few times, he's a baby, really.